If I can sum up the 3-hour bottle of NyQuil that is Monday Night Raw in one sentence, that sentence would be, that does not make sense. Oh yes. What's going on, everybody? It's your buddy, it's your pal Spaz, Phoenix, the YWC Reality Check, here with your September 12th Raw review. A little bit of house cleaning, obviously, before I get into the thing. Some of you may have noticed the past couple of weeks I've missed my reviews on Wednesday night, which means I haven't been able to get the last few episodes of the CWC, which is unfortunate, and obviously the NXT stuff that's become sort of regular here. I will not be able to do that again this week, which means I will not be doing a video for the finals of the CWC. Fortunately, with the Cruiserweights going over to Monday Night Raw next week, Monday Night Raw's review will include my thoughts on the finals of the CWC, which looks like it's going to be great. Hopefully, NXT reviews by themselves will resume the following week. I'm not 100% sure at this point. NXT reviews, for personal scheduling reasons that I'm not going to get into here, might have to go on the shelf for a little bit. I'm hoping they won't have to, but just things piling up over here on my side of the plate, and if one of the shows has got to go, unfortunately, it's going to be NXT, because all the punch from NXT, with a couple of exceptions, obviously, came up to Raw and SmackDown in the draft, and I'm enjoying SmackDown, and I'm enjoying ripping the hell out of Raw, which we're going to get into momentarily. So I will not be able to do, as I say, a review of the finals of the CWC. My thoughts on that will be included in next week's Raw review, and hopefully NXT reviews will resume their regularly scheduled program starting next week. Sorry to those of you who were liking my thoughts on the CWC. CWC, I was talking to Elena Nic0le from, obviously from her own channel, but also well known from the OKFabe post-Raw rundown, which you should go and check out after you check out this video. You guys know how I like to review matches on a move-by-move, or for the most part on a move-by-move sort of broken down framework. Going into doing the CWC, knew that was going to be a challenge. With the amount of stopping and note-taking and double-checking details and whatnot that it took for me to review the CWC, watching an episode of the CWC usually took me on average about 2 hours for an hour-long show. And that's a lot of work. It's not that I mind doing that much work, but that's a lot of work, and by the time you get to Wednesday, you've already, by the time you're done with NXT, watched 6 hours of wrestling. So to start another 2-hour endeavor after that was quite a lot. I did it as long as I could. As I say, other non-wrestling related things sort of piled up on my side of the plate, as I've said, because I'm getting repetitive now. But it is what it is. Hopefully NXT reviews will resume, and the Cruiserweight Classic will be done by then. We'll be able to talk about the Cruiserweights on Raw, because Raw reviews and SmackDown reviews aren't going anywhere. You guys know I'm firmly Team Blue, and if nothing else, I can rip the hell out of Raw. Speaking of ripping the hell out of Raw, I said in my opening little spiel there that this show didn't make sense. This show was an example. I mean, most of the show was crap, but even the good shit didn't make sense. I said the night that Kevin Owens, sorry, I'm losing my train of thought already. I said the night that Kevin Owens won the Universal Championship. Yeah, that was a great moment, but one great moment, one great match is not enough to save a shitty show. In this case, it's a little bit different, where I'm going to say that 2 great matches that don't make any sense are not enough to save an otherwise shitty show. So let's get into it. The kickoff didn't tell us very much that we didn't already know. We went over the fact that Owens and Roman are going to fight tonight to see if Roman Reigns is going to be added to the Universal Championship match at Clash of Champions, which I've been calling Raw Cock because of the COC, and I am that lame sometimes. We overviewed the controversy of who gets a women's title match at the Cock, even though Sasha Banks announced that she had a title shot last week, which doesn't make any sense. we reviewed the fact that the club is going to take on the New Day at the Cock. And the New Day is seen in back requesting a non-title match with the New Day tonight. So much like what they did with Rusev and Roman before what was it, Battleground and their match, and when they gave SummerSlam. It was SummerSlam, wasn't it? When Roman Reigns and Rusev were set to fight at SummerSlam, and they gave away the match 2 weeks before on Raw. We're going to do this. That worked out so well. We're going to do the same thing with the Tag Team Championship for the Cock, which is the first Raw pay-per-view in this new brand split era. So the kickoff already not giving me the best hopes for the night. The show starts off with Foley, not Stephanie. She's off tonight, which is fine, whatever. Foley gets on the mic, talks up the Cock, trying to get us all to order the Cock in 2 weeks. Oh yes, Roman Reigns versus Owens tonight, goes over that whole spiel, gives a shout out. Here's what I don't like about Mick Foley. Conflict between Raw and SmackDown. The whole Brock Lesnar, Shane McMahon thing going on between Raw and SmackDown. Their competition to each other. But he sits there and openly promotes Backlash from last night and gives a shout out to his friend Becky Lynch for being the women's champion, and uses that as the turnaround to get into talking about the women's championship situation here on Raw. Now he introduces Charlotte, and I prayed openly on Twitter, Mick Foley, I'm a huge fan of yours. If you ever want to do anything for me in your life, please do not give that knob goblin a microphone. But he does. Charlotte gets on the microphone, ignores the title situation, ignores Mick Foley, and takes this opportunity to tell off Dana. Dana cost her the match last week against Bayley, which is bullshit. Dana made her look bad when she got her ass kicked by Sasha Banks, which is also kind of lame. Sasha comes down, interrupts, says that she's the true face of the women's division, she's the true boss, and I'll be the champion at the Cock. She's interrupted by Bayley, who joins into this big nasty mess. Said, I'd love to see Sasha versus Charlotte, but maybe could I maybe have a championship match? Maybe I'm the number one contender. Mr. Mick Foley, sir, I did beat Charlotte last week. Could I maybe have a title? Fuck off with the awkward Bayley shit. She wasn't even that awkward in NXT. Not shitting on Bayley, but if this is Raw's interpretation of the sort of like ridiculously over Bayley that we had in NXT, big fail. Big fail. Much like I assume the Cock is going to be a big fail. Dana suggests that there should be another Best of 7 series, which is shot down by Charlotte, who tells her she's an idiot. Mick makes the match that we all knew was going to happen, which is Sasha versus Bayley in a number one contenders match. Dana, out of nowhere, slaps Charlotte, so Mick Foley, for reasons, adds her to the number one contenders match. Now, here is the first of many that does not make sense moments of the night. Now, you've got this number one contenders match because you've got two people that have a legitimate claim to that championship title opportunity. You got Sasha, who just lost the belt and is automatically owed a rematch clause, and you got Bayley, who has just beaten the champion in a non-title scenario. Those are two people that are legitimately worthy of number one contender consideration. Dana got added to this match by slapping somebody. For reasons. Anyways, Bayley versus Dana Brooke versus Sasha Banks with Charlotte, unfortunately, on commentary is our first match of the night. Boots by Dana and a mudhole by Sasha and a boot to Bayley. Dana eats the turnbuckle, mudhole stomp and a choke by Sasha, snapmare by Sasha. Sasha eats the apron face first. Corner splash by Bayley. Dana eats the turnbuckle. Clothesline by Bayley, basement clothesline, and an armbar by Bayley, and an arm drag, and another armbar. Trip by Sasha. Sasha and Bayley double team Dana. Sasha, and I'm gonna defer to my new YWC colleague Elena on this one. Sasha and Bayley face off, and we go to commercial break. What the actual fuck? But we do go to commercial break. We come back, and there's a surfboard stretch being applied to Bayley by Dana, so fuck the whole showdown that we wanted to see between Bayley and Sasha Banks. Forearm by Bayley. Sasha and Dana trade punches and double knees. They get the double knees, both of them in the corner, all stacked up by Sasha. Top rope crossbody by Bayley. Double clothesline by Dana. Corner tackles by Dana. They do the Tower of Doom thing, which is always a fun little spot in the match. It's, straight out of the X division, is it not? But Sasha powerbombs Dana, who's superplexing Bayley from the top. It's cool. Bank statement to Dana, Bayley to belly to Dana, roll up by Sasha on Bayley. Here's the thing. Here's where you get into this sequence here. Bank statement to Dana. Dana eats a finisher. Belly to Bayley, or Bayley to belly, which is a retarded name for what looks like Raw is going to make a retarded character, but that's another story for another time. As she's going for the pin on Dana, on the Bayley to belly, you know, crowd's all behind her and all that shit, Sasha literally rolls over both of them and pins Bayley, which is fine because she does get the rematch clause. That makes sense, righty, righty, raw. Problem is, if you go back and you watch it, and everybody blew it up on Twitter, including me, both of their shoulders were equally down and none of them were clearly on top of the other one. So first of all, it's a double pin, which is bullshit that they never acknowledge. Second of all, this sets up Sasha Banks versus Charlotte at the Cock, which was the match we announced last week, which makes this pointless. And again, I say, what did Dana do? She didn't win the match, thank God. But what did she do to be in this match in the first place? Her being in the match totally detracts from the deserving nature of Sasha Banks and Bayley. Good match, don't get me wrong. One or two mistakes, and Sasha Banks is selling that back injury great. Mentioned on Twitter, I think I should be her chiropractor, her physical therapist. I think that would be a great role for me in the back. Oh yes. I gotta do something. And to make matters worse, to add to the whole sandwich of shit that doesn't make any sense, Dana goes to the back, apologizes to Charlotte, and ends up carrying her luggage out of the arena like a little bitch. So Dana had balls for about 5 minutes, enough to get her into this match, be the punching bag for the real main divas, or women's wrestlers, and go back to being a fucking nobody again, which is fine. In the back, Shining Stars sell R-Truth a timeshare. This is bad. This is where, you know, the same fan, like, we're gonna take control of the show mentality that gave us the jacked up Daniel Bryan story a couple years ago really, really spits out on its face. When the Shining Stars came out, yes, the gimmick was shitty. Oh, yes. And I think more than anybody else, I think it was JD from New York who says, why do these guys just look like a fucking bunch of knobgoblins that are trying to sell me a timeshare in Puerto Rico? So WWE has taken this, and now they're literally trying to sell timeshares in Puerto Rico for reasons. Enzo calls out one of them after R-Truth fucks off, because he's a retard and he's useless, and Golden Truth went really far, didn't it? So Enzo versus one of the Shining Stars is something we have to look forward to later tonight. I am really worried about Enzo and Cass. Owens talks some shit about Roman Reigns and calls Triple H his mentor out of nowhere after we just finished the Dana Brooke Charlotte mentor ass-kissing thing. Repetitive there, but Owens is still great. Owens and Jericho with Tom Phillips in the back is always funny. It's like The Rock. It's this generation's version of The Rock picking on Michael Cole, or The Rock picking on Jonathan Coachman, for those of you that have been watching wrestling that long. Jericho then takes Tom Phillips' microphone, complains that Mick Foley making the main event tonight took Kevin Owens off the highlight reel, so he's got to go get somebody else. And he's going to interview his best buddy Kevin Owens' last best buddy, Sami Zayn, for reasons. Bo Dallas versus a jobber, because what I want, when I turn on pro wrestling, what I want to hear is an irrelevant jobber spewing irrelevant, angry jobber poetry. He gets a squash. Moving on. Apparently, they're trying to make him relevant out of nowhere, like an RKO, so that he can go to China and put over this guy that they've signed from China, which is nice. Jericho's highlight reel. He said he's supposed to come out, he's supposed to talk to Kevin Owens. This was supposed to be the greatest highlight reel ever. He takes a couple of shots at Foley and introduces Sami Zayn. If I can't get the top of the heap, I'll grab somebody from the bottom. And he's actually lying down on the carpet as he announces that Sami Zayn is, you know, the bottom of the barrel. Roddy, Roddy, Rod. And he says, I'm not going to sing your stupid Olay song, as the crowd is clearly singing the Sami Zayn Olay song. You know, you're a loser. No wonder he dumped you. I'm his new best friend. I've got his new number. You don't. Asks what kind of man Sami Zayn is, seeing as Owens went on to be a champion. Zayn says, I'll be a champ myself one day, and makes fun of Jericho's stupid idiot thing, which just makes him look like a kid on the playground, which is great. Jericho just says, you're a taker, I'm a giver, I give the gift of Jericho. Drink it in, man. Zayn says that gift sucks, and he's going to show his true color. Owens is going to show his true colors to you one day when he turns on you like he turned on me. Jericho predictably goes to the whole you're jealous of your former friend's success, rah. He's the longest reigning Universal Champion in history, which is a nice little dig at Finn Balor, but whatever. Sami Zayn just sort of goes serious for a second. Is there any of the old Chris Jericho left? You know, me and Owens back in the day when we were a tag team, when we were coming up in the indies, rah. We grow up to come here to play on the big stage and to be like you. Now, is there anything like that of you left? You're former world champion. You were the first ever undisputed champ, and now you're just Owens' bitch. And Jericho, in the only funny part of this whole promo, really, says, I've got a text from Kevin Owens right here. Do you want me to read it? Pulls his phone out and face plants Sami Zayn with the phone. It's funny until you realize, like, okay, here's my actual phone, like my actual landline phone, right? If I was to clock somebody in the head with that, I'm sure it would hurt. Jericho had something in his hand smaller than an iPhone, so he was like, nyeh, nyeh, and then he finished it off with the code breaker, which is nice. Why? Just why? It is what it is. Sheamus versus Cesaro, match number 5, because apparently Cesaro won match number 4 in a house show in the UK, which makes it feel super important, doesn't it? This match was lame. Babyface Cesaro cheats with the ropes to win and drives the score from 3-1 to 3-2, which means we're getting at least 2 more matches. Which means we're going to see this match on pay-per-view. Aren't you excited for the cock? Oh, yes. Alicia Fox took on Nia Jax, and not only was this a squash match, not only was I legitimately at least somewhat interested to see what Alicia Fox could do in the ring, because, you know, I won't say she's the greatest talent ever, like massively underrated, right? But she's decent. She can hold up her end in a match, except when she's in there with a bulldozer like Nia Jax, whose entire arsenal consists of shoving her around. And then she did the spear with the painfully obvious extra panel of guardrail that's not attached to anything that they basically fell on and called it a spear. And it's just bad. And dear Christ, Nia Jax sucks. Oh yes. New Day come out for their promo with Gallows and Anderson. But not before New Day, doing some great PR for the WWE, tell us not to watch Raw. Now, with how Raw is right now, I can appreciate that. But basically, because they came out and they made fun of the segment from last week. And the segment was 5 hours and 57 minutes, or sorry, 5 minutes and 57 seconds, whatever it was. And they start listing all the other things that you could have been doing instead of watching that segment. So, WWE sent its paid superstars out on its show to tell us not to watch the show. So there's that. And then we get into the fact that we had tonight the match that we're supposed to be super excited about at the cock. Oh yes. Gotta be careful how I say that because I sound like that retard Sean's View Entertainment. Woods and Anderson start the match. A drop kick by Woods. Woods works on the arm. Woods and Kofi hit a couple of awkward double teams that I really don't know how to describe. Top rope foot stomp by Kofi. Literally came off the top rope and stepped on him, which was anticlimactic to say the least. Shoulder tackle by Gallows. Boot by Kofi. Top rope crossbody by Kofi. Kofi and Anderson brawl on the outside. Boot by Gallows. Shower of elbows by Gallows. Sorry. The shower of elbows, like Ziggler does, like, you know, drop, come up, drop, come up, drop, come up, but with the intensity of Luke Gallows, which I can kind of appreciate, and he follows it up with a headlock because he's a heel. Look at me healing, I've got a headlock on. Both men trade punches, a spinebuster by Anderson, beat down and a spin kick on the apron by Gallows is, he's not a small guy, so a spin kick on the apron is relatively impressive. Knee drop by Anderson, body slam by Gallows, rolling forearms by Woods, high knee and that honor roll thing that he does that we haven't seen in forever. They trade some forearms, pendulum kick and a DDT by Woods, top rope elbow by Woods, but the Magic Killer gets the win for the club. So they just beat the champions. So why do I care about their match at the Cock? CWC finals are next week. We saw a promo package for that. I said I've let you know guys already what's going on with me. Unfortunately, I won't be able to relive it. Now, 9/11 was yesterday. They did a very nice tribute thing at the beginning of Backlash. I will be talking about Backlash appropriately tomorrow during my SmackDown review. I will say, very, very funny. Raw sucks so fucking bad that Mick Foley on the mic, commentators throughout the night, and the whole panel on the kickoff show were all talking about the SmackDown pay-per-view. Oh yes. But they did a very nice tribute thing for, sorry, my hat's, I don't know, fidgeting with my hat, for 9/11. It was all good. It was all tasteful. Big joke among the wrestling world is, hey, the 15th anniversary of 9/11, do you think the Twin Towers are going into the Hall of Fame next year? I repeated that in a chat with somebody, and they didn't appreciate the joke too much, so that's that. But if you're ever going to do I'm a good guy because I'm American, and you're a bad guy because you're not American, let's do it the day after 9/11. And that's what we get. We get Jinder Mahal versus Jack Swagger for reasons. I will say, moderately, they gave Jinder Mahal some decent entrance music since his return. It's the first time I've ever heard it, because it's the first time it's been televised. Oh, yes, he usually gets an entrance during the commercial break, does he not? Jack Swagger, they pull out of mothballs when some Americana needs to happen, and that's about it, because, Hogan's in porn and stuff. I don't know who this match was supposed to get over at all. I really don't. I have notes for this match and I don't care. Some weird necktie neckbreaker by Jinder gets him the win over Jack Swagger, which is funny because not only is Jack Swagger legitimately an underrated athlete, they've never given him anything. They've never given him any reason to care about him, really, other than when he was associated with other people like Ziggler or Zeb Coulter or Vicky Guerrero or Cesaro, all people that had more draw to them than he does. But he is supposed to be, he's the stand-in John Cena for Raw, seeing as John Cena's on SmackDown, I guess, for the Americana stuff, and he's legitimately a lot bigger than Jinder Mahal, and Jinder Mahal shouldn't have been able to do the things to somebody like Jack Swagger that he was doing in this match. But then again, this is the same company that employed Rey Mysterio for a long time, so maybe they've already missed the boat on that one. Enzo versus Epico. I've got 4 lines here. Head scissor by Enzo, Irish whip by Epico, rolling back suplexes by Epico that are apparently called the tripletta, which I will admit, on its own, as one spot in a match, the tripletta is a decent series of maneuvers. Follows it up by a straight stalling vertical. Also very nice. Inverted stunner by Enzo, some jabs and a DDT. Cass boots Primo on the outside. There's a little bit of a scuttlebutt. Primo helps Epico get a quick roll-up win. And I will say, I have no problem with them as athletes, but the Shining Stars are nothing in the company. And Enzo and Cass, up until recently, were one of the most over acts on the show, on any show, on NXT, on Raw, on pay-per-views, etc. So the only explanation I can think of for them being buried like they are here is the two of them must have double-teamed somebody's wife in the back. They must have had a writer or a booker or an executive or something like that brought his wife to work one day, and he just got fucking double-teamed, and you can't teach that. And, that guy went home 9 months later, he's got friggin' kids that don't look like him but have leopard print hair. That's the only reason I can understand for the booking that Enzo and Cass are getting right now. It's fucking ridiculous. Really, the only good thing one plus, we didn't have a Braun Strowman squash tonight, but we had a Bo Dallas squash, and we had a Nia Jax squash that was The Nia Jax squash was worse tonight than when she was doing it to the jobbers. That's bad, isn't it? We did get a promo package for Braun Strowman to remind us that Braun Strowman, unfortunately, is still a thing. And then we had the main event. And the main event, here's my problem with the main event, guys. And yes, throwing all logic aside, I am looking forward to Owens versus Rollins at the Cock. It's probably the only match I'm looking forward to at the Cock. But it doesn't negate the logical fallacies in this story. Now, Mick Foley granted a very, very angry Rollins this match in the opening segment last week on Raw, because he's wronged, because he was wronged, because he was screwed, because Triple H came in and pedigreed him and cost him the opportunity to be the Universal Champion a couple weeks ago on Raw when Owens had his big moment, Roddy Raw. Rollins will have an opportunity for redemption, and he will go on to face him at the Cock. The identical thing happened to Roman Reigns. The identical thing. He was attacked, pedigreed, and subsequently pinned because of Triple H as well. Identical situations did not equal identical results. Rollins got fucked by Triple H right up the ass. He gets a match at the Cock. Roman got fucked up the ass directly by Triple H on the same night, in the same match. He's got to have a qualifying match before he can go have his title opportunity at the Cock. Not saying that I want... Let me be clear. Not saying that I want Roman Reigns in the title picture. I am saying the logical fallacies that lace throughout this entire show are bullshit. Seth Rollins, pissed off, in the back, doesn't want it to be a triple threat match either, and he sits there and he's doing his really weird conversation with Mick Foley, because Mick Foley's tied to Stephanie McMahon, who's a heel, but Mick Foley's a face, and Seth Rollins just turned face, but he's still being an asshole. Very, very, very muddy conversation as far as roles go. Basically, Mick Foley says, don't get involved in the match or there'll be consequences. Rollins says, the old hardcore legend, Roddy Raw, if you keep listening to Stephanie McMahon, you're nothing but a fool. Rollins has some banter with Owens about how neither one of them really wants Roman to be in the match at the Cock. Foley stops him again in the hallway and says, don't get involved, there's going to be repercussions. And I'm sure if Seth Rollins were to break the boss's rules, those repercussions would be immediate. They would be instant. And, instant action, instant reaction. Right? That would make sense. Therefore, it's not happening on this show. Hashtag raw logic. So Roman versus Owens, which was a good match, that didn't make any sense. Owens bails to start. They brawl on the outside, boots by Owens, kicks and headbutts by Owens, and a back elbow, and some stomps, crossface blows by Owens, and forearms by Roman. Owens bails again. Wrecking ball dropkick by Roman is really nice. It's not as bad as it used to look when he did it. Roman eats the guardrail, uppercut and Irish whip by Roman, running senton to the back by Owens, not the typical, taking it to the chest. We're working on Roman's back, so we're going to roll him back up, and you're going to do the running senton on his spine. I will say, Owens' running senton is a lot better than Bray Wyatt's. I'm a big fan of Bray Wyatt, but Owens does it better. Running kick to the back, and then a headlock by Owens. Backdrop by Roman, a clothesline, and a jumping clothesline, and a corner clothesline, and another clothesline to knock Owens down. A lot of clotheslines. You would almost think it was Cesaro's uppercuts, but no, it's Roman Reigns' clotheslines. Super kick by Owens, and Roman, I can speak, I swear. Roman eats the post face first as we go to commercial break. Coming back from the commercial break, Owens rides the headlock. Roman spears the post, so now he's hit his face with the post, he's hit his shoulder with the post, and he's got this big heavy guy named Kevin Owens working on his back. We got a lot of stuff going on. Roman eats the guardrail on the outside, then he eats the steps outside, and then a cheer goes up from the crowd because Rollins jumps Owens. Owens wins the match by disqualification. Foley comes out, freaks out, and gets a bunch of referees to take Rollins out of the ringside area, and says, I told you there would be consequences. You couldn't do this for me. Now there's consequences. We gotta go to the back and talk. Yeah. Your consequences are you get to have a little come to Jesus meeting in the back with the boss. That's it. Foley restarts the match. The crowd looks awkward. The combatants in the ring actually look a bit awkward, but both men trade punches, knees by Owens, clotheslines by Roman, and then the 10 clotheslines in the corner. Samoan drop by Roman and a mudhole stomp. Top rope package brainbuster by Owens was fucking pretty, not to mention the fact that he immediately followed up by the bullfrog splash. Super kick by Owens and a high knee. Superman punch by Roman. A boot, a super kick, a cannonball twice, all by Owens. Sit out powerbomb with one arm by Roman, because he is the subsequent Superman. And then we see another body come down the ramp, and it's Rusev. Oh yeah, because Roman shouldn't even be in this match. He's got another title feud over here. Brief distraction, pop-up powerbomb. Owens gets the win and bails the fuck out. You know, comfortable in the fact that at least his title match at the CAC is going to be a one-on-one match. Now you got Rusev, who beats the ever-loving shit out of Roman, and absolutely loves that he's beating the ever-loving shit out of Roman. And Lana on the ramp, dressed in bright blue because America, and holding the belt because America, and loving the fact that Rusev is beating the ever-loving shit out of Roman, just like the crowd is loving the fact that everybody's loving the whole beating the shit out of Roman. So I guess, you know, the U.S. champion's been absent for like a month. He had to come back in time for the Clash of the Champions. So what have we got? We've got a very, very delayed rematch between Charlotte and Sasha, which will be good, but they've thrown a lot of unnecessary extra bullshit into. That's happening at the CAC. We got Rollins versus Owens, which was established last week, which makes everything tonight pointless. That's happening at the CAC. You got Rusev, who's just decided today when he rolled out of bed, oh yeah, I've got a title I need to defend. I better get ready, because in 2 weeks is the CAC. And then you've got the Club versus New Day, which you don't have to watch at the CAC because we got it tonight. Fuck this show. Fast forward me 24 hours. Get me to SmackDown where shit makes sense. I'm not even doing my closing. I'm the fuck out. Bye, guys.